of the new cards from the new set, and it's going to be great.
Right.
Really is.
Thank you so much for joining us here, Luke.
Thank you, Ollie.
Excellent job on commentating.
Thank you very much.
So if we have to fill in one more time,
yeah,
I know
you
the go-to
you know
guy.
where I am, yeah.
Right. And you guys just stay tuned because we're going to be right back with more coverage from YCS Milan 2014, the last year of the event, the last event of the year this way around. Welcome back to the coverage of YCS Milan, the last tournament of the year and the largest YCS as well.
Yes, yes. Well, it's the largest, second largest YCS of all time.
Of all time, that as well, yes. My name is Oliver Gurman and I'm your host for the weekend, and I'm joined here by Rob Grayson-Hooley.
Glad to be here.
He's been doing a fantastic job so far this weekend as our resident expert, telling us about all the different card interactions.
Yes.
And going into the weekend, we've mentioned we had players coming out in droves, really, with more than 900 Italians. And now, after 8 rounds of competition in day 1, 3 more rounds today, we have cut the field down to just 32 players remaining. And out of those, of course, lots of Italians as well.
A lot of Italians,
We do have one part of this little tree that's leading to the finals. This is your way to the finals if you want to win a tournament. Italy, 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 Italy. So there's a very high chance that we're going to see an Italian player in the finals. Just
very, very high.
Yeah.
And that's just on the one sheet. On the other sheet.
The other sheet is what I like to call the international sheet. We got Germany, UK, Germany, France, Germany, Italy, Germany, Italy, Italy, and so on. And some Greeks, of course. So these are some of the stories of the weekend. The other big story, apart from Italy sending 900 players to one tournament in their own country, of course, is that we have a triangle metagame. You like to call it a pyramid metagame. Some people call it rock, paper, scissors because that's the easiest to understand for most players that are not that familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! Lingo.
But at the moment, Jake Quinsee is proving us wrong because he is undefeated playing Qliphort.
That is true. Many players believe... So, speaking of the triangle, the 3 decks going into this weekend are the new deck from the new challengers, Qliphort, and these guys are challenging the 2 established decks, Shadol on the one hand, who have been dominating both YCS Madrid and the following YCS in London, where Jake Quinsee, I might add, was also on a roll. He was, for a very long time, until like the last 3 rounds, he was also undefeated in London. And the other deck, Burning Abyss, gaining some new tools with Virgil, Rockstar from the Burning Abyss.
Yep.
And then, of course, the new support monsters and the Fire Lake.
The Fire Lake. The Fire Lake being the big card for the deck.
Right. So Burning Abyss does have an excellent matchup against Qliphort, which is interesting to see what Jake is running. We're going to take a look in just a second. So he found some good ways to beat the Burning Abyss, the supposedly most dominant deck of the weekend.
The major difference that he's actually playing, it's a very, very standard build. He's actually playing Laser Clip.
Oh, okay.
Now, nobody's playing this.
Yeah, we haven't seen it this weekend, not a single time.
Apart from Jake at the moment, and he's going undefeated. It's a field spell card that allows you to normal summon an extra Qli monster a turn.
We might see that in just a second. The other player is Emre Kizilates from Germany. So let's take you to the table. Emre is playing, you will not believe this, Evilswarm. So apart from, we do have a lot of Shadol and a lot of Burning Abyss in the top 32. We also have Evilswarm and some other creative decks that we are running through the lists, and we're going to have a complete breakdown for you a little bit later. So if you've just tuned in and you haven't been watching any coverage this weekend,
we
should have. What you would have seen is that on the right-hand side of the screen, when we're watching these feature matches, we have cards disappear and magically go to the field. But this is what Jake dropped on his very first turn. Very explosive opening there.
Got the Summoner's Art to go and get the Scout, which he searched a Sacrifice, played the Carrier, equipped it with the Sacrifice, set an Advantage Impetus and a Skill Drain. Already in a massively great position. Now, interestingly, when that Evilswarm card there was dropped, I believe that's, which one is that? I can't quite see it from there. Basically, it gave him an extra normal summon for the turn. I'm not quite sure why at that point he didn't think maybe it would be a good time to flip the Skill Drain, just to stop that extra normal summon.
Right. So his opponent Emre is running Evilswarm, as we mentioned. He summoned Caster and Heliotrope.
Yeah.
And now the question is, will Jake flip his Vanity's Emptiness sitting there in his back row? And he does go for it. The so-called floodgate.
Floodgate.
Yeah, you don't want to say it. I don't want to say it either, to be honest.
It's the floodgate card, and he's flipping. Well, he's using a mystical space typhoon.
Yeah, Emre
in
can
response.
activate the mystical space typhoon in from his hand because it's a quick play spell card.
Okay, and he is
He used it on the skill drain. Yeah, of course, because since another card, so he waited for it to resolve. Of course, why? Because there was nothing preventing him.
I know exactly why he's done that. As I said in previous games, if the effect of the Qliphort monster is negated, then its attack is going to go back up to 2,400. So he used it in response, which was, of course, getting rid of his Vanity's Emptiness. But now he has a 2,700 attack monster just sitting on the field that can't be destroyed by battle.
And he would have lost the Vanity's Emptiness anyway, or and the skill drain as well. So there wasn't any drawback for Jake here. But also very interesting is that Jake went from 5 cards on the field to just 2 cards on the field with basically just 1 activation.
Yeah. Now, Evilswarm, very, very kind of fun deck. All of the cards represent other cards that have been tainted by the Evilswarm, the Steel Swarm, actually, I believe it's called. Basically, all of them have abilities. Well, all of them have 50 extra attack than their original card. So you see a lot of just multiples of 50 happening.
Yeah,
now.
And players really don't like this. They have to do some crazy maths.
Yeah.
Like, even though there's not much difference, actually.
There's a massive amount. Now,
Emre is holding on to a lot of trap cards as well with a Chaos Trap Hole. Let's bring that up for you guys. That is a card that is actually shining in this environment with so many Shadows and Burning Abyss decks being played. So that means a lot of dark monsters and light monsters as well. And
unfortunately, I do believe that all the Qliphort monsters are Earth.
Yes.
So it's not really helping him in this situation. But Ragnar Zero did just get rid of that carrier there, as you saw, because he had 300 extra attack from the Sacrifice. The Sacrifice is getting him a Search, and he's thinking about it, and he goes for another Scout. It looks like he just wants to get his searches going.
Yeah, but at the same time, if he would be playing the other Scout, he locks himself out of Pendulum Summoning any monsters.
That's correct.
This is the latest mechanic after we have seen, well, Fusion Monster, Ritual Monsters, Synchro Monsters, and Exceed Monsters like the Ragnar Zero. We are now to Pendulum Monsters, who are both spell cards and monster cards, like the Scout.
He's paying 800 for the Scout.
So Emre is out of cards in his hand, but he's dropped quite... He's assembled quite the field here with some good backup. But the Chaos Trap Hole, is he running just 1 copy? I think because it's very expensive, this card. You don't want to draw into that when you're...
Yep, he's running 1 of every single one of his trap cards.
And also he's got a Solemn Warning. So there will be matches where he's paying just 4,000 life points just to activate cards of his own. That is quite something.
Now this Solemn Warning is able to probably negate the potential Pendulum Summon that's about to happen, which would be very, very unfortunate for Jake, and possibly losing the game from there. Yeah,
because Jake is only on 3,000 life points now, as you can see in the lower right corner. His hand, lots and lots of monsters, and they are all going to hit play.
And here comes Pendulum Summoning.
Is he going to test the waters first and go for 1 normal summon, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, he's expecting the... and he's just Mystical Space Typhooned the carrier, lowering his options.
Why did Emre not go for the Scout instead? He knows that Jake searched for another Scout. Yeah,
so it would be useless. He doesn't know that he's got another carrier in hand. Oh, well, sorry, he's got 2 Helix, which means that he's completely Pendulum locked in this case.
Yeah, that's really, really bad news for Jake, who had been tearing through the field earlier. The only undefeated player left in the tournament, I believe.
Yep. I do believe that's correct.
Yes, that is correct. But, well, there were quite a few guys in pursuit, with 4 players only dropping 1 match this weekend. So Jake is now left with 2 copies of Helix that we've just had on the right-hand side, and a Qliphort Scout, which is not doing much on its own. He needs to go for the second Scout, doesn't he? To search for something. Or is there anything else?
Okay, he's passing the turn. Any 1 monster? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So Emre is just waiting for another way to deal some more damage. And you can tell that Jake is not happy with that. He knew that this was basically bound to happen when the Mystical Space Typhoon. But even if the Mystical Space Typhoon wouldn't have been there, Emre still had the Solemn Warning. So
yep. So he was going to stop the Pendulum Summon.
Good for Emre, who also had a Chaos Trap Hole that wouldn't have helped him in any way.
You can tell that's coming out of the deck right now.
Yeah, exactly. He's immediately going for his extra deck, and he's got quite a few options there. I mean, his whole main deck says no.
Yep.
This is a big theme this weekend. And he's got 3 copies of Flying Sea rather than Max Sea.
Actually, I believe when your opponent special summons a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field, or to his side of the field, and then his opponent cannot Xyz summon anymore. I believe it was one of the texts that was used against Infernity. Just having a look at the text there.
Yeah, we can check out the other cards in the meantime.
Yep. What else he's got is 3 Twister, just to get rid of any back row that may be there. Dimensional. I believe that's Dimensional Fisher.
It's
sorry, the hand
Dimensional Fisher, I think.
Yes, it must be Dimensional Fisher.
It should be Fisher.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you were of course correct. The Flying Sea says the controller of this card cannot exceed summon.
Yep. So you special summon it to your the field and stop Xyz summons there. Now Jake also has.
He's got 3 copies of Dinotherium.
He also has the Shadowing Prisoning Mirror there.
Which works against the Evilswarms.
Yep. Maxi isn't as useful because, of course, it does a lot of normal summoning rather than special summoning. Solemn Warning and Bottomless Trap Hole.
He's got Spell Shattering Arrows for the mirror match, but they will not help him too much against Evilswarm as well. This is one of the drawbacks of Evilswarm, in my opinion. Normally, of course, very strong anti-deck, stun deck, but it does run into troubles when your opponent flips the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, doesn't it?
Yeah, yep.
And everybody's running Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, everybody that's not running either Shadow or Burning Abyss. So, yeah, any other big surprises here on the deck list? I mean, the big story is probably the Evilswarm deck, apart from, as you mentioned, the laser
Clip, yes.
Laser Clip, yep.
There isn't really
anything standing out here.
No, not in other deck, apart from the obvious. It's
apart
generally
from the Chaos
just
Trap Hole, maybe.
Yeah, Chaos Trap Hole is just a nice little bit of tech to beat the other 2 decks in the meta, but other than that, it seems very, very standard for an Evilswarm build and for a Qliphort build.
Right, and both appear to be done with the sideboarding bit, so it's back to shuffling. And after that, we're gonna kick things off for the second duel. Now, Jake has the choice. He has the opportunity to go first. I think that's a pretty fair assumption here, or because he wants to get the scout before his opponent can MST it.
That is a valid point.
On the other hand, he would have
losing. He's having
card.
He's losing a card regardless in that respect. So he's either gaining the 1 card or gaining the 1 card. One just involves him paying 800 life points to get that extra card before his opponent.
And again, you can see our volunteers on the left and right taking down all the cards that these guys are holding onto. It's harder for these guys when they are shuffling their hand, which for most is just a reflex. They just get handed anything, and they just immediately start shuffling.
I can't stop. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for
way too long.
Almost 11 years.
So Jake has
now,
a Night Beam and a Mystical Space Typhoon, so some disruption.
And there's the Summoner's Art to get him the scoot.
Yep. So he did go first with maybe catching my drift here. And
he also has the Sacrifice available and the disc, so he's not actually got much that he needs to set up to be able to get his combo ready.
All right. So Sacrifice, we didn't really see that in the first game here. I mean, it was equipped, but
it didn't stay out for long.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Ragnar Zero that really crippled it there.
So let's take a look at Emre's hand with a Dust Tornado. Yeah, he's got 2 answers to Scout.
He also has the Infestation Infection as well, and the Infestation Pandemic.
But he's lacking a monster. However, he does have the Reinforcement of the army.
Yeah, so he has his monster.
Doesn't want to activate it, and wow, this is brave. 5 back rows and you just use a blind MST to hit one of them?
Yeah, in the end phase, it's worth it.
And Quinsee letting the die decide.
He got the, what's he
He's
hit
got
there?
the Twister. Yeah. So
Okay,
Twister is
he's
gone.
hit one of the things that's going to stop his scout.
That's true,
But not
but
both of
he's
them.
still gonna. Yeah, he's still got a problem with the Dust Tornado, of course.
I believe that's an upstart goblin.
Yeah, let's bring his hand up one more time, and he's. Yeah, that was the upstart, of course, and
That's
now
a
he's gonna
Mystical Space
pay.
Typhoon.
That's interesting that he draws first before he pays for Scout, isn't it?
Yes and no. I think he's looking, can I get some sort of card to stop something potentially stopping my scout? And unfortunately, just didn't quite get there in time. There is still the Sacrifice there with a disc in hand. He also has a Night Beam and a Mystical Space Typhoon. So he could pop off at any minute.
So the Night Beam taking down the Infestation Pandemic.
Yep.
Very important card of the Evilswarm deck. Making them unaffected by spell and trap effects this turn. This is what you use to save your Evilswarm caster. Make sure it stays on the field. And Quinsee hitting the bottomless trap hole. That was
And the Helix as well, being able to destroy a spell or trap card.
Right, and that's the Infestation Infection. And I think that card is also not going to do anything now. And exactly, so Quinsee taking out all 5 cards in the back row.
Wow, I mean, this is exactly...
That is a big accomplishment for him. And I mean, he doesn't have much. He doesn't have the Qliphort disc. And
Qliphort disc on 2,800 attack. And he's going to have those 2 cards, although those are both going to go to the... Well, to the extra deck at the end of the turn.
At the end of the turn, yeah. But he does find another Scout.
With Sacrifice.
And
he might actually be able to do something else here.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. No, he has the win here. If he uses Scout to get something with a pendulum scale of 1. Oh, there's 9,000 damage he needs to do, though. So pendulum scale of 1, and boom. That's it.
Wow.
That is how Qli works.
Yeah.
That is Qliphort at its best.
Exactly. Quinsee, and seeing that opening right away, you could tell how fast he was going through his deck. He was like, I got this.
It's amazing.
And wow, that was a very quick equalizer for Quinsee,
Yes.
gaining all the momentum. Like after he lost the first game, he's like, no, I can still turn this around. I'm not going to go out that easily.
Wow.
And 9,000 damage from 9,000 to 0. That's few decks can do that. At least in like that fast.
No.
Second turn.
Well, all of them, apart from the Scout, had 1,800 attack. The disc had 2,800, and then there was a carrier there giving them all plus 300 attack.
Yeah.
Those are pendulum effects that you kind of don't think of other than Scout. Are really, really useful. Disc gives you minus. Well, disc and carry give you plus 300 attack. Helix gives everything minus 300 attack, and I think also Shell has the same effect.
Yeah. So. Wow, very, very commanding victory. Second game on his second turn, Quinsee. And quite honestly, at first, I mean, I forgot for a second what Jake had in his hand. I didn't look at the cards in his hand. And you just see 5 face downs for Emre, and you know the 2 of them can destroy a card in the pendulum zone. So you're like, Emre seems to be in pretty decent shape here. It's going to be fine. And then suddenly Jake finds a way to destroy all 5 cards in the back row of his opponent.
It was a sudden just drop.
And well, his die was serving him well. When he took out the bottomless trap hole, that was very important before he goes for the summon, and that way, being able to special summon 2 more monsters and making sure that this goes to a deciding game 3. All right, so I believe that Emre is going to go first. He will have learned that lesson in that game just now.
To make sure that the zones are correct there. That's a Rescue Rabbit, a Wind Up. I believe it's
Jake has a Raigeki in hand. Raigeki, a card that is not as popular as it used to be when it was first released, of course, and ever when it was legal. But with both the Shadows and the Burning Abyss not minding their monsters getting sent to the graveyard because they are triggering there.
Oh, there's a reason I'm saying that, and that's because there's a Scout and a Trample Links in Jake's hand, which basically means he's getting 2 searches from Scout next turn, if he can't get rid of it.
And Emre, on the other hand, he does have a handful of monsters and an infestation pandemic, which means that at this point in time he doesn't have anything to stop a scout, and this is really bad news.
What's he just played there? Is that Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon? Is that what he's playing? It looks very, very close to it, but it's probably one of the Evilswarm Xyz monsters. Well, we're showing that up very quickly. Just waiting for... it was Ophion, sorry.
Yeah, the signature card off the deck. Ophion, of course, preventing your opponent from... let's bring that up for you guys, in case you haven't been seeing playing against Evilswarm in a while.
Level 5 or higher monsters could not be special summoned.
Yeah, so that doesn't affect...
Well, it's not going to affect Jake because he has a Raigeki in hand.
Yeah, although there's an infestation pandemic waiting in Emre's back row, which can make sure that Ophion is not going to be...
There is going to be a Mystical Space Typhoon possibly popping out, though.
But Emre was making sure, and he set both copies of Pandemic. So... But you can still chain it, which means that on that turn, you're not going to get rid of Ophion. And that... Let's see how that plays out. So here's the...
Chain to Mystical Space Typhoon to the other card.
So both of the Pandemic are...
It was almost like Jake knew that this was going to happen. Do you get that feeling?
Well, I mean, he was 100% certain that there was one Pandemic face down, because Ophion was searching for it. The second one, not so much, I think. But I think he would always take out the other card then.
I believe he's just checking to see what the ruling would be there.
I think the big question is when the Qliphort monsters are summoned, they go down to level 4.
They're normal summoned.
When they're normal summoned.
I believe that Ophion says that they cannot be special summoned. Is that correct? Can you
Let's
just bring that up?
Yep, let's bring Ophion up one more time. And
Cannot
level
be
5
special
or
summoned.
higher monsters, yeah. So normal summoning should be fine.
It will stop the it stops. Actually, does it stop the pendulum summons because they become level 4? I think that's the question.
Yeah, that's a very good question, to be honest. Yeah, so he's looking for the sacrifice.
He's played the disc. He's equipped it with the sacrifice and then passed the turn. Interesting.
And 2 copies of Trampoline still waiting in Jake's hand.
And Ophion.
Ophion getting the second search, this time the infestation pandemic.
Yep.
Infection. Pandemic was...
Pandemic is the spell card.
Yeah, exactly.
Infection is the trap card.
So and still this monster-heavy hand. He did draw into a bottomless trap hole, which is very good news for him. If Jake were to go for a gigantic pendulum summon.
Correct.
Although, as we saw earlier, Jake has some ways to take out back rows, even though he's not holding on to anything now.
Okay, there's 2 normal summons. Removing Heliotrope, getting Heliotrope.
Yeah, that's such an important card for this match. And this time it's Emre unleashing the power of his deck, really.
Yep, and there's the Ragnar Zero to be able to get rid of the disc. And the sacrifice goes, allowing him to search. I really just think Jake has to hope that he can't... He just doesn't go down this turn.
Yeah, and there's nothing that stops him at the moment. That stops Emre at the moment from dealing even more damage. Emre also has I think, Raigeki in hand. Just flashed that gigantic lightning. And that means that even if Jake comes back, if he can't finish the game right away, Emre can then push one more time and deal the last few points of damage. Squeeze that in. So let's see. Jake is searching his deck and finds another pendulum monster.
Okay, he's gone for Helix. And the attack. Here comes the attacks.
Yep, and all of those will be connecting. Spoiler warning. And so Jake is now left with a Helix and 2 copies of Trampolines. Let's bring up Trampolines because we have only seen that in round 1 yesterday, I think.
And unfortunately for Jake Quinsee, this is all over.
So he might not be in agreement with you there because he's still looking. He's going through the cards in his hand.
We know it's all over simply because of that bottomless trap hole.
That bottomless trap hole. Let's bring out Emre's back row again. Why would you set the Raigeki? Just to make sure that...
Yeah, it's a why not. He saw him get a Helix. Helix, when it's tributed, destroys the spell trap card. Right, he's going to attempt to pendulum summon.
And there's nothing that Jake can do before he goes for the pendulum summon. And
this is why Jake has been
shaking his head here. And it appears, so far, it appears quite a bit like the so-called curse is gonna strike one more time, with the player going undefeated in the Swiss rounds. In London it was Patrick Reeder trying to defend his title because he won last year at the largest European Championship Series of all time in Europe. And
pendulum summon.
There is the pendulum summon, and this is going to be the
bottomless
trap hole.
And that's it.
Immediately the handshake from Jake Quinsee. Wow.
Such a strong game too.
Evilswarm advancing to the top 16 of YCS Milan 2014. And Emre he has been playing Evilswarm forever. One of his friends told me. He just tries to make it work, changing a few cards here and there for the respective environment, and he's so familiar with that deck. And wow, that's a real downer for Jake Quinsee.
Yeah, especially as I said earlier last night, he was saying the dream of winning a YCS is real.
It's very much, yeah, and it was very much real, and
kind of disappointing to get this far. But he still made it to another top 32.
Yes, that's a very big accomplishment.
It's still an achievement.
Yeah, even though our statistics mostly cover we know who has advanced to the top 8 of every European YCS and a major event like the European Championship or, well, the World Championship that has been held in Europe. This is what my personal statistics document covers, but we know for a fact that Jake Quinsee has also been extremely successful, making it to the top card many, many times before. But well, we got to give it to Emre Kizilates from Germany.
Yeah.
Advancing to the top 32 of the second largest event, Yu-Gi-Oh! YCS Championship Series, and with Evilswarm. So, is that still a thing, or is that...
Evilswarm has always been a thing.
Is it?
Yeah. It always kind of lurks in the background. It's, again, one of those decks that sits in other on all of the deck meta breakdowns.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those that there's always a Noble Knights or an Evilswarm or something that's just sitting in the background that just kind of gets knocked out, generally top 16, top
something
32.
like that, yeah. It's a good deck to... This is one of the things about the rogue decks. Very often, if you have the right build, you're going to get to the top 32 with it, if you just have the right matchups. But then in the top 32, it's going to be harder than ever because the X factor that you had during the Swiss rounds, where somebody's sitting down across from you and has no idea what you're playing, it's completely gone.
Yep, all of a sudden they're like, well, somebody's playing Evilswarm and I know it's you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure that I know exactly how to deal with all of your cards.
All right, what else do we have in terms of interesting matches in the top 32? We got the former European champion Stefano Mimoli, who is playing Burning Abyss this weekend from Italy, going up against Pedro Alves. Not quite sure where he's from. Sounds like a Portuguese name to me. And then we got Kevin Semlali from France, one of the 2 confirmed French players in the top 32. He's going up against Piran Aski, who is not playing Infernity this weekend, but rather Shadol. And we also got Peter Gross.
Yes.
Who beat his curse. He said he didn't want to come to Italy because he's never made day 2, in fact. Not even the top 32, just day 2 of an Italian tournament.
And he's proven himself wrong. And is in day 2.
Very much so. Very much so.
We'll be able to tell you exactly if he won his match as well.
Yep.
At the start of the next round.
Other interesting stories, we had Alpay Engin, who started like roughly in a way with a 2-1, 3-1, and he ended up in the top 32, now goes up with his Burning Abyss versus Riccardo Rovati, also from Italy. So these are just some of the players. Christos Morikis, of course, also from Greece, also playing Shadol, another very experienced player, also made it to the top 32. So there are going to be exciting matches in the next few rounds.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really good. I mean, if we got anything else that's kind of interesting out there?
We got another player with a Qliphort deck, and he just threw it together. And it's a very unique build because he's missing so many cards. He said, yeah, he was like, you wouldn't believe what I'm not playing. And then he just started to like, I don't have this card, I don't have this card, I don't have this card. And I'm like, so what are you playing? Like, and he has his very own and unique take on the Qliphort deck. So we might take a look at that because there's a chance that he's going to go up against Marcello Barberi in the next round, who also, again, made the top 32 3 times in a row now. And he won the last event in London. So this might be our next feature match. Little primer of the things to come.
And that was, if you don't mind me saying, the first Italian to win?
No.
YCS? It's the second?
No.
There is on your
no,
list.
No.
What does it say on your list?
Don't listen to him. There is no. I'm going to look at this up, and I'm going to say that there are 3 Italians that won a YCS before.
Possible.
All right, we're going to come back with the statistics and some more stuff. We're also going to have an interview with winner of our round, the first confirmed top 16 competitor, Emre Kizilates, in just a second. So just stay there for the short commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Monsters can build anything! Massive robots! Super tanks! You can get it together with Geargia Rampage! A full 42-card deck! Get your gear on! Konami. Yu-Gi-Oh! The new challengers! A new generation battles for supremacy! Fusion, Ritual, Synchro, Xyz, and Pendulum monsters! These new challengers come in every form! 9 cards per pack, each pack sold separately. Konami.
Welcome back in the coverage booth with Emre Kizilates. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Making top 16. You just sneaked into the top 32 as the very last player to secure his seat with Evilswarm. How come you're playing Evilswarm?
I played the deck since it came out.
Okay.
And I feel really confident with it. Like,
you know every single move. How much did you have to change in your list for this particular environment? Did you have to take out a lot of cards? And
before this event, I didn't play MST main because of Qliphort. And now I do, and I just kicked upstarts. That's it.
That's it. Yeah. So very, very little change required.
Yeah.
All right. So you took 2 losses earlier in the Swiss portion. What did you lose to?
Against round 2 against Burning Abyss. I had a strong field, but he top decked MST.
Okay.
And round 7, I think, against Shadow.
Okay, so you're going into day 2, you got 2 losses, and you know, I have to win every single round. What's that like? What do you feel like?
I felt really bad because it's not a meta deck, and many people think it's bad, and they make me down too if they say my deck is bad, and I kind of feel
that affects you, of course, And so how did you raise your spirits prior to every match?
I took a bottle of water and just walked around.
Okay, okay. So you didn't talk to anybody, so they wouldn't drag you down?
No.
Or not too much, at least. All right. So run us through it. When do you have a easy time when you're playing Evilswarm? What is the deck that you want to see on the other side of the table?
Qliphort.
Qliphort?
Yeah.
All right. So did you feel confident going up against Quinsee just now, the only undefeated player?
It was weird. It was a good matchup, but I know that he's a really good player, and it was weird.
Was there anything super surprising in the match? Where you were like, oh, I didn't see this coming?
No.
No? All right, since you've been playing Evilswarm for so long, not that surprising. Okay, what about the other two big decks? What against Burning Abyss?
Burning Abyss is an okay matchup. It's like 60-40 for me because I play 2 Maximane and Effectuator.
Okay.
Really good.
All right.
And Shadowless, it's really hard because every time I test it with friends, they always drew the outs to Ophion and...
Yeah, and then you are relying on Ophion, of course, quite a bit. All right. What about your side deck? Is there anything special? I think we haven't seen Flying Sea ever this weekend. Is it good for you?
It's a really good card against Burning Abyss because it destroys their monster and they can't do anything.
Right, so they are locked out completely out of the game. How many times did that happen?
3 times, I guess.
3 times?
Yes.
Okay. And every time they were like, wow, I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, and in one game, I had his Flying Sea and he had mine, and I won because he couldn't do anything because it destroys all his monsters.
All right, well, Flying Sea is apparently a real thing here. All right, so when you came here, did you intend, what was your goal for the weekend?
I just wanted to top.
Okay. So
And
what now? You're changing your goal again?
I want... before this game, I was like, my goal is to top 16, that's it.
Okay.
But now I want kind of more and...
You're getting greedy now?
Yeah.
So how far you want to go? You're saying top 8 is fine, or you want to go all the way?
I don't really think that I will win with this deck, but...
who knows?
Maybe top 8.
All right. Where do you normally play? Like, where are you from exactly?
From Bad Homburg. It's near to Frankfurt in Germany.
So what's the community like there?
We have really good players like Eugen Heid,
The European champion, of course.
Sascha Fabian. He's
made top 8 in London.
And now he's in top 32.
As well, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's good because I have really good players to test against. That's good.
That's always helpful to play against players either on your skill level or maybe even
higher.
Maybe even higher. I don't want to take anything away from you there. But with Evilswarm making it to the top 32 is one of the nicest stories for us, of course. Well, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck for the following rounds. Emre Kizilates trying to take Evilswarm to the finals in the second largest YCS in Europe. We're going to be back with the feature match of the top 16s. Only 4 more rounds today, and then we will know who is the winner of the largest tournament of the year.
Yu-Gi-Oh! The new challengers. A new generation battles for supremacy. Fusion, Ritual, Synchro, Xyz, and Pendulum monsters. These new challengers come in every form. 9 cards per pack. Each pack sold separately.
Konami.